joined by none other than the great JP Domini from South Africa. I have UAE's ex-captain Rohan Mustafa. Then I have Samad, also a supporter of Hyderabad. I know he's disappointed. Qasim Ali, I have, as well as a couple of fans, Chirag and Maz. So welcome to all of you guys.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Anis.
Thank you.
Well, JP, just to discuss the first match, I would probably say that sloppy Hyderabad versus a very, very persistent Rajasthan Royals.
Yeah, it was a convincing performance from Rajasthan, and when you have a performance as you did from Josh Butler, it's a tough act to follow. The conditions were really good, and we've seen it now time and time again in Delhi, where batting becomes a lot easier as the game goes on. So it's really good to see Rajasthan putting in that performance, and they'll be really pleased. But yeah, there's some challenges ahead for Sunrisers, who have only won one, I think, in 7 games. So all to play for now in the back half.
Let me come to you, Rohan. You see, you must have seen the first match.
Anis bhai, as you know, Butler innings was outstanding, and when a person bat like that, so it's quite hard to chase, especially when it's a day match, because in the evening it's a little bit dew comes in, so it may be chase if something like Pollard did last night. But in the day match, I think it's quite difficult to chase 220 when it's on a board, and and your team is not doing well as well. So I think it was not easy to chase 220.
All right. Let me come to you again, JP. You have played IPL so much, and there have in the past captains been asked to leave in the middle of the tournament, and this was one such case with Sunrisers Hyderabad. Not only they asked him to leave, but they even dropped him. Do you think are you sending out a right message?
Yeah, it's a difficult one. I mean, I was listening intently to Trevor Bayliss talk about it, as well as Tom Moody. It was never going to be an easy decision. I mean, I think that's the bottom line. The fact that they were willing to make a decision as that shows that there's some leadership there, and they've had some in-depth conversations internally. One would feel that the owners would play some kind of part in that as well. Because obviously when you think about David Warner and what he's done for Sunrisers over the last few years, it's been exceptional. I mean, if you think about Sunrisers, you think about David Warner as the leader of that team. So for them to make such a drastic call means that there must be some sort of line of thinking possibly for next year. What are they thinking in terms of retention? Because they're in a situation now where they pretty much need to win all their games that is left in the playoffs. Sorry, in the round robin games, to give themselves some kind of chance to get into the playoffs. So the likelihood of that is probably minimal. So they're possibly thinking ahead, and who can they sort of retain for next year, and how do they want to shape their team up looking into the next season.
Yeah, but like you say that now the likelihood looks a little more tougher because 7 out of 7 they need to win. But you've been a player yourself, and imagine you are a part of a franchise, and suddenly your skipper has been replaced in the middle of the tournament. What does it go into a player's mind? Like you, for example, you are a part of the squad.
Yeah. So what was surprising for me, I think, was the fact that he got dropped from the playing 11. I think there was a consideration, I think, as a fan, that there would be a decision made around the captaincy possibly, because you could just kind of feel that weight that he was carrying with the fact that the team hasn't performed, and it possibly affected his own personal performances. But the quality of the player, you almost felt like you wanted to take the responsibility of the leadership away just in the interim to try and free him to play his natural game. But they've obviously gone the other route where they've kind of left him up completely, which was a big surprise. And there's no doubt that will be a dent in his confidence, no doubt. I mean, he's been a world beater for many, many years across all formats. And what was great to see, though, was the fact that he had his 12-man bib on. He was carrying drinks. He was picking up bottles apparently after the game. So the sign of a great leader is also not just about his own performance, but how can he serve the environment? How can he serve his team? And he's doing that exceptionally well, which stands in good stead for him, bringing an environment together, because there potentially can be some fractions created when you make such a big call, particularly if the player doesn't take it very well. But by all accounts, it looks like he's taken it okay, reasonably well. Disappointed, yes, but still having in mind that he needs to put the team first and serve the team to his best of his ability.
So well said by JP. I mean, explained in the best way. We'll definitely rub on this point again. But before that, I want to ask Rohan. You know, Rohan has been playing cricket in this part of the world for, I mean, I think from the time he's born with a bat, I guess. Now, Rohan, you've played in across many owners. You know, your favorite has been obviously, I can't remember that team's name, where you made your debut. What's
Phoenix.
the name of that corporate? Phoenix. And then
Phoenix,
you've been a part of my squad, and you've been part of UAE squad and XYZ squad. Now, Rohan, as a team player, what do you look in your team owner?
I think Anis bhai, as you know, if you're talking about David Warner, so like, you know, he was doing very well from last couple of seasons. You know, he was doing well in all formats. So in IPL, I saw him, like, you know, he was the one-sided player for the Sunriser in most of the matches, and he was scoring highest score for the SRH. I think if you have to, you know, your owner should trust you at everywhere. Like, you know, you do well or you don't. Means, you know, sometimes, you know, what happens is a cricket, you know, sometimes you get bad patch and you get out, and maybe sometimes you don't take a good decision. So owner have to trust you in the next match and give you confidence. That's the main thing. I think that make you more confidence in upcoming matches. But decision like that, you know, removing from the captaincy and not playing in playing 11, I think it's quite, in my point of view, it's very harsh decision especially on David Warner. I think I will never want from any owner like this. So that is the question. Like, that is the answer, Anis bhai, that owner have to trust you in everywhere. Like, you know, if you are winning, you know, everyone is saying you are doing well, but you see when you lose, when what the owner say, what you are right, or your close friend says, what the coach says, that's the main thing.
Well said, Rohan. Like he said, that when you win, the owner is at patting your back, but when you lose, that is the time you test the temperament of an owner. And as JP said also, that, you know, when you talk about Sunrisers, you can't take away the name of Warner. Anyway, let me come to Samrad. You know, he is a little disappointed. His team has gone down and looks a little difficult to qualify. Samrad, your analysis about the axing of David Warner, do you think is the right message given?
Well, it's very tough being a Sunrisers fan now. Actually, the team is not doing well, and David Warner also not in the team. You could make out in the toss as well when Kane Williamson was asked about the team changes. The way he said that, you know, David Warner was not playing today, it just shows that, you know, there was something wrong in the team management. Now, I would like to say that what Virat Kohli is to RCB, what Rohit Sharma is to Mumbai Indians, David Warner is that player for Sunrisers Hyderabad. He's the main heartbeat of a franchise, and it's so disappointing that he wasn't part of a team. You know, initially when the news came that Kane Williamson was given the captaincy, we all thought that as Sunrisers fans, this could unleash the real David Warner we know. Because if you look at the 2019 season, David Warner was not the captain. He ended up with orange cap, and he was at his destructive best. So we all thought that David Warner, we could see the real David Warner in this particular game, but him missing out from the playing 11, and we could see David Warner near the boundary ropes as well. He was still there. He was talking to his teammates. He was encouraging them. He was a bit disappointed, which shows he's still very much part of the franchise. That shows his love for Sunrisers Hyderabad. And I just feel that he'll be back in the next couple of games in the playing 11, and hopefully we can see the real David Warner in the future.
All right. Well said, Samrud. Let me come to a happy Chirag. Khush to tum aaj bahut ho gaye. Rajasthan Royals and Josh Butler. How do you sum up Josh Butler's innings?
Josh is the boss for Rajasthan Royals tonight. And I'm really happy that Josh is back in the form. And it was really important for our team to get back Josh and Sanju Samson in the form, because, as you know, Ben Stokes, Chopra, and many more players have left the Rajasthan Royals this season. So it was pretty important that our top order comes in the form and we score more runs in power play and lose less wickets. And especially after the last match, where we started off well, but we couldn't end up scoring good runs on the board. But this time, Rajasthan Royals proved that they can score in the last also. So I think it was a good game. Even with the ball, they were good today. So yes, Rajasthan Royals was a great team and they performed really great today.
JP, I'm sure you've seen Joss Butler from close. You know, like he said,
Yeah.
Joss the boss. On his day, he can tear apart any bowling attack in the world.
100%. He's one of those. I think if I had to categorize him in some way, I could almost put him in that Pollard category. You know, when he's on song, he's unstoppable. And today was one of those innings you would just see when he started freeing his arms and sort of playing that pickup pulls, then you know his eye is in and he has the ability to really take it to the opposition. So he was really exciting to watch today. From a Rajasthan Royals perspective, when he's doing well, historically, they give themselves a good chance to qualify. And so that will be a big confidence booster for them, as well as Samson. Obviously, he's been in good form throughout the season thus far. And then you have, obviously, a David Miller with great experience in that middle order. So that batting order looks really settled currently. And to be fair, I mean, from a bowling perspective as well, there's some players that are really putting their hands up. Chris Morris, with ball in hand, has really put in some good performances. I really like the look of Karthik Tyagi. I commentated at the Under-19 World Cup 2 years ago. He was the opening bowler, and then already you could see that he had a good set of skills, the ability to swing the ball with a new ball, great slow ball, bowl some great Yorkers at the death as well. So he's an exciting prospect for the future of Rajasthan Royals.
Fair enough, JP. I wanted to ask you one more question before I move to the second game. You know, today when they were chasing 223, and there was a phase in the match where their asking rate was almost 13 or 14, probably more than that.
Yeah.
And I saw an innings of one player, Jadhav, where he was playing and just trying to take a single and go on to the non-strikers end. Where the need of the hour, where you saw the likes of a couple of players from Sunrisers who came and just stonked the ball, whether it was Abdul Samad or Nabi. When you play such a sort of innings and you end up scoring 19 of 19 balls, I mean, sitting as a fan or sitting as a player in the dugout, how would you term that inning? I mean, it sounds a bit critical or not?
Yeah, it's a tough one to analyze because having played with Kedav Yadav for a couple of seasons, he is one of those characters that enjoys a tough situation and he backs himself in those situations. And he's done it time and time again for Delhi, for Chennai as well. So it's really tough to see him play that kind of innings. What his thinking was, I guess that will be the question around that. And that's always the tough conversation to have. And this is where your Trevor Baylises, your Tom Moody's will come into play around having those tough conversations about the mindset of players, particularly in certain situations. And that's going to be a great test for the coaches.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
My question to JP is, what's your opinion on Kane Williamson's captaincy today? And in particular, how he used Rashid Khan. It's completely different from the way how David Warner uses Rashid Khan. I mean, he completed his quota overs before the 13th over, and Mohammad Nabi, they clearly mentioned that he wanted a bowling all-rounder in the middle stage, and he bowled just 1 over in the match. He got wrong for 20 odd runs. So, what do you make about Kane Williamson's captaincy in this particular game? Was he good enough, or was David Warner still a better option as captain?
Look, the decision making today, I don't think it's a question of whether either one of them is good enough. They are both good enough. One has to then analyze the reasons behind it. So I actually listened again to a Trevor Bayliss interview, and they actually asked that question. And he spoke about how Joss Butler historically never really played Rashid Khan very well. And that was his thinking. Well, they know that he's going to be an important cog to get out for Rajasthan. So who is their best option? And Rashid Khan was their best option. So if you think about it, if even in his 4th over, in the 10th, 11th over, if they had gotten him at that particular time, that would have changed the complexity of the game. So when you're in a situation where you're in the opposition team, you have a batter that's really striking, you're going to turn to your number one bowler to try and break it open. And that's what he did. And unfortunately, it didn't work that way. But he knew that he needed to give himself the best chance. And Rashid Khan was, as you saw with his figures, he went for 6 and over. He saw that as an opportunity, right? That this is my guy. But what Josh did well, he saw it as an opportunity to say, right, I don't need to go after him. I need to then just see him through, get ones off it, but I can target the other bowlers. And that's the great understanding of how players think. And the really good ones, they will really target certain bowlers and certain types of bowlers to suit their matchups that gives them the best chance of getting the percentages right.
Well said again, JP. Very well said. Let me come to Maz, very happy fan of Delhi. Delhi looks the team to be the strongest out of all the 8 teams.
I wouldn't say strongest, but definitely one of the strongest teams because we lost our captain Shiraz Iyer in the start, but Rishabh Pant so far has done a phenomenal job. Yes, a little mistake, but as he's a young captain, he's definitely learning after every single match. And talking about today, Prithvi Shaw and Shikhar Dhawan gave a phenomenal start, 63 odd runs in the power play. And this is where the difference between the two teams was. Like Punjab Kings just made around 39 runs for the loss of 2 wickets in the power play, whereas Delhi Capitals made 63. So when you get a good start, the batsmen coming in at 3, 4, 5, they have the freedom to hit in the end, and that makes your score go higher. So 166 in 20 overs is a below par score in Ahmedabad. Yes, there was a due factor in the second innings that must have helped Delhi Capitals a bit, but definitely a below par total by Punjab Kings today.
All right, let me come to Qasim. Disappointed Qasim. Punjab double loss. One is to lose Rahul and then to go down so badly in this game.
Yes, absolutely. See, the scenario of Sunrisers Hyderabad and the Punjab Kings was almost similar today. Both lost their captains, and once you lose your captain just right before the game, it really affects the morale of the team. And interestingly, the Punjab Kings really don't have a backup captain in their whole lineup. I was just looking at the team they have. None of their overseas player can lead a team. You know, like if you look at the other teams like Delhi, if you look at Mumbai Indians, they have so many captains in there. And looking at the Punjab Kings whole lineup, there was no one who could really take up the opportunity. Nothing to take away from Mayank Agarwal, the way he played. But again, if you look at the innings in two ways, Mayank Agarwal was 100 of 60 balls, and the whole other team was 60 of 60 balls. So one is striking at a strike rate of 170, and the other whole team is striking at a strike rate of 100. So that pretty much sums up the evening for Punjab Kings. The bowling, once again, Shami has been a bit disappointing in the last couple of games. He has not been up to the mark. Again, we really can't blame the bowlers again, because as Mas said, the score was not up to the mark. It could have been easily 190, 200. Again, yes, we got in David Malan, but the positioning of him, playing him at number 4 is just not the right way to go. This was the perfect opportunity to open with Gale and play David Malan one down. I think the coach has a lot to do with this. His mindset is a bit very, you can say very defensive. He's not attacking. If you look at all other teams, they have their best 3 batsmen playing in the top 3, and Prithvi Shaw, Shikhar Dhawan, the way they started had Punjab Kings got that kind of a start, it could have been a completely different story for them. So a lot to think again. Yes, I think we are settling in with the lineup, but yes, a loss of captain today didn't go according to the plan.
But don't be disappointed of Riley Meredith. Sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Now I wanted to ask Qasim a question. What are your thoughts on Riley Meredith? He seems to be a great prospect for you guys.
Yeah, he has been good. Like the way he started off, it was not that great for both the bowlers, the Richardson and Riley, but he had come up really well in the last couple of games. So that's a good positive prospect.
Always great to see somebody with raw pace. So I'm excited to see how he goes.
Yeah.
No, he's definitely good. You know what? don't be disappointed, Kasim. I can see that disappointed in you. There is a chance for you to prove that no, Punjab can do well on this page. But before quickly, I want to ask one point which I missed you, JP, yesterday in the show. The
Yes.
match between Mumbai and Chennai. It was a tight match. Finally, Pollard pulled off that win. But I'm not sure whether you saw that last ball. When the last ball was bowled by Ngidi, the non-striker Dhawal Kulkarni was almost halfway down the crease before the ball could be released. And we all know there's a history of Ashwin mankading Joss Butler.
Sure.
Then there was a lot of cry that no, this is not in the spirit of the game. Now, how do you stop a batsman, a non-striker, from going and taking that advantage of half a run before the ball has been bowled?
I think that's where your match officials need to really take hold of the situation of the game. There's obviously clear rules around it. But what's important, yes, you have to take in the spirit of the game, which is probably the most important part of it. But I think, this is where players need to rely on your official, your match referee, your umpires on the field to make some hard calls. If they're seeing that happen too often, and if the scale is tipped too far the one way, they're going to need to say something. And look, I mean, at the end of the day, they are responsible for the etiquette of the game being played on the field. So, you need to be relying on them to make some harsh calls at times. Yeah, I didn't see the actual live ball, but I did read some thoughts around that. People were sort of asking questions around whether that is in the spirit of the game. It probably isn't. But again, you're so in the heat of the moment, you're not thinking about that. All you're thinking is, what can I do to get over the line here? And that's why I say you're needing somebody that is not emotionally connected to the live activity at that point in time to be able to make those decisions.
Okay, well said again. Now, Rohan, I want to come to you. I've seen many a times, let me introduce you, Rohan. I'm sure, JP, you have seen him playing the T10s and the local cricket. He can bat, he can bowl, he can field, he can captain, he can do everything. He's an all-rounder. He can throw a banter with the opposition. But when he bowls, many a times he warns the batsman and he doesn't do the mankad. But I want to ask you and put him in a spot. Imagine it's a final, a big final, okay, where your country has to qualify for a tournament, or it's a World Cup game. And last ball, 2 runs required. And you see the non-striker stepping out on 1 wicket is left. Will you do a mankad, or you will say, no, spirit of the game, let him take the run? Be very honest.
Yes. First time I will just give him warning, whatever it is, because every time when I do, I just give warning.
But if there is 1 wicket left, you will still give a warning. That's my question to you. And you're going to win the match. That's why I made it very clear. I put you in a spot. You will still give a warning, or you win the match and celebrate?
No, I will give warning. Of course, I will give warning. I think that's serious, because I never did mankad till now. I always give warning whenever I play, or it's a T10 or it's a T20.
Or indoor.
Or indoor. It's indoor. But I think yesterday I saw the ball, he ran before the ball was bowled. And I think, to be honest, if I say, ICC should take action against these things, because, when it's an important run, a batsman run through like that, and when the bowler did mankad, on every paper you say he's not sportsman spirit and he's not using this and this. So I think ICC should talk about this thing, and I think they have to clear that. I think they have to give a short run if we run before the ball. I think that run should not be considered in the score. That's what I would say.
Fair point, JP.
I think so. There's going to have to be some clear understandings of the way forward with this, because like you painted that scenario, you then going to question the integrity of players around whether you're going to allow him to take that run, or the game is on the line, the World Cup is on the line, and all of a sudden you're sort of bending the rules in many ways to make sure that you get over the line. And you don't want to be putting players in those situations. You want to make it clear cut as to what needs to be done at certain times. And that's where I'm talking about the match officials needs to be taking responsibility for that.
Fair enough. A very fair point that the match officials, because they are not emotionally attached to the game, they need to draw a line that this is required and this is not required. Great. We've had a fantastic show so far. Great inputs by none other than JP, of course, by my dear friend Rohan Mustafa too. So now let's come to the live match. Are the two teams ready? We're going to have separate games, obviously, because we have separate teams. So first, let me start between RR as well as Sunrisers. Is the David Warner team ready? Samrud, are you ready to take on your friend
Yes.
from
Yes.
RR?
Yeah.
All right. Samrud, let me ask you the first question. Who's the man of the match of today's game?
Josh Butler. Unfortunately.
Unfortunately, that's not fair, but it was Josh Butler. Now, I hope I'm not making a mistake about the fan from RR. Can you just raise your hand, my friend? Hello?
It's me.
Chirag.
Chirag, yeah.
Chirag. All right, Chirag, now my question to you. He mentioned Josh Butler is the man of the match. How many runs did Josh Butler score?
124.
Can I lock it, JP?
You can lock it, sir.
All right, it's 1-1. Let me come to you again, Samrud. Which was the player Warner was replaced with today?
Mohammad Nabi.
Mohammad Nabi, unfortunately, again.
Yeah, very much unfortunate.
All right, Chirag, are you ready?
Yes.
All right. There was one player from your team, that is your captain, whose catch was dropped. Who was the player who dropped Samson's catch?
Manish
The tough
Pandey.
one. Let me see. Oh, you've been following the game. Well done. 2-2 to y'all. Samrud, my third question. Who was the one who dropped Butler's catch?
Manish Pandey.
No.
Vijay Shankar.
I'll give it to you. Okay.
Half a
Because
point.
you are a bit sad. Half a point? Should I give him half a point? That means he's taken half a run.
Yeah.
All right.
I
So
forgot.
I have to give it to Chirag. In any ways, I'll ask a very simple question to Chirag. Chirag, who's your coach?
Kumar Sangatara.
All right. So well done. So you've beaten them on and off the field. And I'm sure Samrad will come up with some other plans. You need to make sure that you get back David Warner in your team to fight against Chirag. All right. Kasim, are you ready to take on? The Punjab team is ready.
Yes.
Take on Maz. Okay.
Yes.
I have a very, very bad record here. So.
No problem. Rahul did not play the game today. Who was the captain?
Mayank Agarwal. Okay, yes.
100%?
That's one.
All right, very simple question. Maz, I'm not going to give you that simple question. Delhi has been winning left, right, and center. So my question to you is very, very difficult. The most difficult question. Who's the man of the match of your team today's game?
I think it's the captain of Punjab Kings, and not unfortunate at all. He played a definite good innings.
JP,
Yes,
do you want to
definitely.
lock this?
I'm not sure that's the right answer, actually.
But I'm pretty sure.
Is it?
Yeah. I mean,
JP is trying to just
phenomenal
corner you.
innings by Mayank Agarwal, 99 odd runs in 58 balls. So yeah, definitely man of the match.
But it's not unfortunately, correct?
Not unfortunate at all. He deserved it.
All right, Kasim, let me come to you. All right. How much runs did Deepak Huda score today?
1 of 1 ball.
Oh, you are spot on. You know his strike rate too. Well done.
Yeah.
Let me come to you, Maz. Very, very simple question. The most simple question you will get. Prithvi Shaw, how many runs did he score?
I think 39, and he got out on 6.1 just after the power.
Rohan, is he right? He thinks it's 39. I'm not sure.
This way I will say yes.
Okay, 2-2. Last question to you, Kasim Ali. Very, very difficult question. You mentioned about the mentality of your coach. Who's the coach of your team?
Anil Kumble.
This message is going to him where you said his mentality is at old school.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that's why Virat could not really cope up with him. Two different mentality.
I'm going to ask this question to Rohan for sure, but let me come to you, Maz. Your last question. Who's your coach, mate?
Ricky Ponting.
Oh,
The
you
head
got it.
coach.
3 out of 3. So we have 2 winners. Maz from Delhi winning on the field and off the field, and Chirag winning on and off the field. Fantastic show. Now, before we wind up, I just want to ask one question quickly to JP. We've
Yeah.
seen every team, the first phase has been already passed, except a couple of teams. Every team has gone through 7. We've seen Delhi, we've seen CSK, we've seen Mumbai, and we've seen there's one more team right on top is
RCB.
RCB. Pick one team which you think will go the distance out of the 4.
I said this last season as well. I would like to see somebody new come to the party. So I'm backing Delhi to possibly come through.
Definitely. Yeah.
Okay, Rohan?
Good choice.
Rohan?
I will go with Royal Challenger. I think that's from the first season, it's my favorite team, and I always support them when they get out of the tournament very soon. But this year, I believe they are doing very well. I think the combination is well. They're very good, and especially De Villiers is in form, and that's a plus point. And as you know, Maxwell, if he stands, so he can change the game in few hours. So I will go with RCB to come up.
Okay, so JP says he wants a new winner. He sees Delhi going. Rohan Mustafa is backing AB de Villiers and RCB. And Glenn Maxwell, I'm sure the fans want their teams to go with. We will wait and watch which team goes. But nonetheless, we are having great time with all of you fans. You all are the ones who are making the page go better and better day by day. If you enjoy and like the page, please make sure to share. And thank you very much once again, JP. We look forward to catch
Thank you,
soon.
guys.
Thank you,
Good
Rohan.
to meet everyone.